In this special episode, I'm going to give you some tools from inside the masterclass. The stock market and the crypto market are intercorrelated and interconnected. We can use the crypto market to gain an idea of where the stock market could be heading. Over the past couple of weeks, we've seen a flight to safety and a rally in bond prices and the destruction of yields. Gold has been rallying and the DXY has been selling down. The regulators who are tasked to stop this kind of thing happening before it happens have undoubtedly failed. Unlike the global financial crisis, which was caused by poor lending practices, we have a super-prime banking crisis now. This phenomenon has been dubbed the rich session, not a recession, but the rich session. Because the banks that have been hit hard because of the spike in interest rates and an inability to do their own internal risk management. For example, First Republic Bank, which was the 14th largest US bank in 2022, lost over 90% of its value within the past 3 weeks. This bank lent to high net worth individuals. Bank runs and bank swaps actually followed the Silicon Valley Bank collapse, with the biggest banks adding $120 billion in deposits after Silicon Valley Bank failed. The US banking system has been hit hard with a hammer, and you can see the current prices are all on the downward side. As the central banks globally have been raising rates, it's put enormous pressure on the financial system. Credit Suisse accessed billions in liquidity last weekend, Swiss finance minister said. And we can also see the top European banks are under a lot of negative price momentum. Not surprisingly, when it comes to cyclical movements, the banks and financial index has been absolutely slaughtered. One thing to bear in mind, the banks, if they get a run on depositors and they've got a hole inside their balance sheets, they just don't have enough money because the interest rates have pushed prices, especially in real estate, above equity. That means a lot of property owners now have negative equity. There's more than a $650 billion hole inside the balance sheets of banks. This means if the banks get a run of depositors, they'll have to liquidate their holdings, which could put an enormous amount of pressure on real estate. I'm going to give you a very special window inside the CryptoTradingKS Masterclass, which is a premium Rolls-Royce level masterclass on crypto technical analysis using the CTKS method. I invented the CTKS method to update stock market and forex technical analysis and to create a TA that was applicable to crypto. Previously, TA on crypto didn't work. If you come across to cryptotechnicalanalysis.org, you can read much more about it. And if you go to the testimonials section, you'll see where a variety of community members have reached out and expressed their feelings on the CryptoTradingKS Masterclass. It puts the entire financial position together across all markets. As far as I can tell, it's one of the highest regarded training courses of its type anywhere in the world. A big thank you to everybody for their kind words. I've never asked for a testimonial, and I'm just absolutely honored to receive that kind of feedback. This is all about knowledge transfer. And if you watch the video right there, you'll understand why I do what I do. After being inside financial markets for more than 30 years and trained classically as a financial analyst, I have a rich background and understanding of what is actually pulling and pushing the financial system around. One thing that people have always struggled with, how do I know where the market is going? That's why I invented the CTKS method. It reveals where smart money is buying and selling. It's a very powerful tool. One thing that we can see here, the S&P 500 has just literally popped across a very short-term resistance level. If it can hold it, that's fantastic, but it's early days yet. One thing that we know, and students of the CTKS method, and that's only taught by me because I actually invented it, We know that from 38.78 to 39.39 is very, very strong support. It's rock solid. If it gets punctured, we're in a lot of trouble. There could be a lot of negative price momentum if that happens. So far, it's holding up very well. I'm going to show you in this particular video how important the S&P 500 actually is. A lot of people, when they're new to trading and investing, and especially if they're inside crypto, they don't care less about the S&P 500. Who cares about that? It doesn't do anything to buy my beloved alt. For example, they might be trading ADA or XRP or something else. Believe me, it really, really matters. If the S&P 500 sells down, you're going to see a sell down in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin will pull your beloved alts into the rubbish bin. If the S&P 500 rallies, you're going to see your beloved alts rally because Bitcoin will be rallying. Talking about Bitcoin, a lot of people in the crypto industry do not know that there is an association between the S&P 500 and Bitcoin. We talk about it every single day, 7 days a week on our channel, but a lot of people don't know it's actually occurring. One thing that tends to confuse people, and I saw this a lot when I was lecturing first and second year statistics, what we see is if a relationship isn't one-to-one, people get confused. They say, oh, one thing moved down, but the other thing moved up, so it's a broken relationship. You have to look at on average relationships. You actually need to zoom out and see the overall pattern. It's a no-brainer that the S&P 500 and Bitcoin are moving together. Bitcoin is currently stronger than the S&P 500. You can see that, but they're still moving together. This is called directional correlation. It's more important to be able to apply the knowledge. When I was lecturing first and second year statistics, a lot of people, my students, they used to say, oh, Ken, how am I going to use this in real life? So I changed the examples to real life examples. And then they said, oh, wow, this stats is fantastic. And it is. What could you tell by stacking probabilities if the S&P 500 gets over this support? It's currently really resistance. It's just right on the line. But the concept, if it gets over this resistance, turns it to support and starts to rally up, what do you think Bitcoin will do? What do you think your alts will do? If you're a student of the Masterclass, you know those answers already. The Masterclass is all about making you your own financial advisor. Don't rely on others when you can rely on yourself. What about if the S&P 500 breaks down through this rock-solid support and starts to sell down? A lot of people will say, oh, Bitcoin will just rally. That is not the case. Bitcoin could go up temporarily, but we're talking about gravitational pull. The gravitational pull of the stock market is absolute. It's important not to fool ourselves with short-term behavior. At the moment, the leading risk indicator that I created is still actually pointing towards bullish momentum in the S&P 500, but you have to put in context where we are and what's actually been going on with the financial system. So far, if we get a breakdown in terms of the risk indicator, it can signal a short-term top. We've not seen that just yet, so this is a positive sign. In the Masterclass, we're experts at inverting price action. When I first started this particular channel in May of 2021, not a single influencer was overlaying their charts. We were the first ones to do that. And nobody even thought of inverting an overlay chart. What you get by tuning in each and every day is a new take on the market from a financial analyst. The financial industry can be very, very murky, and I've spent my professional life inside it. What are we looking at here? We're looking at gold versus the inverse S&P 500. What does this actually mean? Let's go back to Bitcoin so I can show you the normal S&P 500. The normal S&P 500 looks like this. You can see it's coming up at the moment. What is that doing to gold's price? I've zoomed in a little bit in terms of price action, but you can see, and that's what we do as traders. Traders are not investors per se. You can have a long-term trade for sure, but traders are after timing, so that's why we actually zoom in on price action. We need to time our positions. We can't do it perfectly, but we certainly want to try to do so. What happened as the inverse of the S&P 500 came up? What happened to gold? What happened here? What happened as it came down? You can see a bit of a story playing out, and it's playing out to great effect. What do we think could happen to gold with this move down of the inverse S&P 500, which means the real S&P 500 is moving up? And we know it's moving up because it hit support. The answer is it could weaken gold. We need to be aware of these things. It's not a cookbook. One thing that you must understand, it gives you on average behavior. It gives you one data point. You have to stack many, many, many data points together. And that's what we put all of those data points together in the masterclass. Another key data point is what happens with the DXY. Let's go and look at the inverse S&P 500 again. What are we seeing here? What's the pattern looking like? On average, the pattern looks like the DXY is much more closely correlated directionally with the inverse DXY than the inverse S&P 500 than the normal S&P 500. This means when the S&P 500 goes up, which means the inverse S&P 500 goes down, what do we expect to happen to the DXY? We expect it to go down, and that's what it's actually been doing. You will get shocks in the financial system from time to time. When you get associations moving in alignment, this tends to perplex people. I always say the test of a first-class intelligence is to hold two opposing views simultaneously and not go crazy. We do one step better inside CTKS. We hold three. Hey, why not? When we do our daily three-dimensional risk management, we hold the position that the markets can go down, they can go neutral, and they can go up. We don't hold one position, we hold three. We already know ahead of time what we will do if the market rallies, if the market collapses, or the market goes nowhere. And that's both for a trade and your entire portfolio. If you're caught in the market coming down and you're saying, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? You haven't done the CTKS code. That's why you don't know the answer to that question. All professionals know ahead of time. And the key is to understand you can't reach out to other people and say, what do I do? You're the only one who knows your unique financial position. You have to make the decision by yourself. One thing that we look at as professionals is a term called confluence. Confluence is when we stack probabilities and they start saying the same thing. I'll explain it this way. Let's go back to the S&P 500. If the S&P 500 goes up, what do we expect the dollar to do, the DXY to do? What do we expect gold to do? And what do we expect Bitcoin to do? You should be able to answer these three questions. Active learning is so incredibly important. Applying your knowledge makes you money. And if you don't get the answer right, don't worry about that. It's all learning. So many of my students felt like they were dumb or incapable. I said to them, you're only learning. You must be kind to yourself. When you know, you'll get the answer right. In between, you just need to learn. That's it. It's never a personal reflection. So there are now 4 answers that I'm looking for inside the comments. If the S&P 500 goes up, what do you expect Bitcoin to do? Will it go up or down? That's question number 1. Question number 2, what do you expect the DXY to do? Will it go up or down? Question number 3, what do you expect gold to do? Up or down? And then finally, this CTKS risk indicator, what do you expect it to do? Will it go up or will it go down? Please let me know the answers to those 4 questions. Just look at it like this. Don't worry about what other people are saying. Don't worry about being right. Worry about understanding what you're doing, because the market will reward your understanding. It's the only thing the market rewards. I'm now going to show you how to drill in more deeply on trying to assess whether the S&P 500 will go up or down when it opens. Stock market indices are very, very slack. They don't trade 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Oh, that's no good. But Bitcoin does. I'm going to turn the weekend indicator on so you can see we're inside the weekend. We're inside Saturday, US time. So we can see the S&P 500 has stopped. What is Bitcoin telling us currently about the S&P 500? We always know that we need to pay attention to objective dynamic market structure, which is all through these particular zones called Stanfield zones or SCs. We can see that Bitcoin is under resistance. This resistance means that the smart money is selling down. Now, what does that mean? It means there's negative price momentum on Bitcoin currently. So we can see that even though the S&P 500 has been coming up, Bitcoin has been basically flatlining across the weekend. We need to gain a little bit more understanding of Bitcoin's price momentum because it matters to the S&P 500. A lot of people don't know this, just like a lot of people didn't know that when the S&P 500 comes down, you can be pretty assured that Bitcoin will come down also. In fact, some influencers on Twitter said, "What happened to Bitcoin? Why did it come down?" The S&P 500 did it. There are many smart money rules inside the masterclass, and rule 225 is one of them. Bitcoin cannot escape the stock market's gravity. This is just simply an application of this rule. Looking at the Bitcoin longs and Bitcoin shorts can give us some indication as to what is happening. Look at this. We haven't seen this for a very, very long time. The longs are leaving the market and the shorts have started to come in. What does this actually mean? And where did we see this last? And what does this mean for the S&P 500? And what does it mean for Bitcoin? These are the questions you need to ask yourself each time I show you different charts. That's why I show you the charts, for you to ask those questions, see how it plays out, and then just learn and refine your methodology going forward. If we zoom out a little bit, we can see that the fall off in the longs is quite atypical. We've had a fairly constant rate of longs inside the market, but they've been closing out their positions. Some of them, of course, have been liquidated, but this is more than a liquidation at the current time, especially because it's not being reflected in price. I'm going to decrease that visibility on the shorts so you can see the longs more quickly, more easily. When you see this big downward movement, where has that occurred and what followed? A big downward movement. We had a bit of a rally here and then we had negative price potential. What happened here? A movement up. What happened here? A movement up. Is it the case that the longs get it wrong all the time? Could be. What about this? What do we see? A movement up. What about this particular fall down? What happened? Well, price actually came down. The longs got it right that time. What about here? A fall down. Correct. Same. The longs got it right again. What about this particular one? No, it went the other way. You can see that when it comes to actually predicting, you need to stack your probabilities. It's not so simple, like it will always be this or it will always be that. These potential relationships will always phase in and phase out, but on average, they tend to hold. If the longs always get it wrong, we should be able to see that through the inverse of the Bitcoin longs. What do we actually see? Well, we see a kind of an association, definitely throughout here. That's pretty good. But do we see an absolute full and utter association? Not so much. It didn't predict this. It didn't predict that. It's okay, but it's not rock solid. It's just something to bear in mind. And this is something else that you have to think deeply about. How strong is the relationship? What about the relationship with the Bitcoin shorts and price? What does it look like? A lot of people would say, Ken, it's just too messy. I don't know. Let's focus in a little bit more. I'll just make the Bitcoin longs a little bit lighter, so we'll just focus on the shorts now. We can see the shorts are really, really spiky. This is fantastic for trading. We need rapid and fast signals. What I suggest you do is you flip on invert. So when we're looking at this price momentum, let's invert it and see what happens. We can see that inverted shorts actually give a much, much clearer dimension to what is happening inside Bitcoin. And what is the potential here? Where is it showing the price of Bitcoin could go? And what is this telling us about the S&P 500? See how many probabilities you need to stack. There's a bucket of them. But the more you stack, the more you'll start to get into synchronization with the market. If you've ever wondered why you've made a profit or ever wondered why you've made a loss, it comes down to one word: synchronization. When you're in sync with the market will pay you. When you're out of sync with the market will take your money. It's that simple. It's not about other people, and a lot of people think that it is. A lot of people have a crazy attitude that if I make money, somebody else lost. That is not the truth. There are so many participants inside financial markets, and it's a lot of big players as well. If you're making a profit from the big players, well done. But it's actually not the truth either. You make a profit when you're synchronized, and you make a loss when you are desynchronized, and that is that. A lot of investors, and I've found this when I talk to investors, they think that they're taking somebody else's money if they buy at a good price. Please don't think this way. The way that you're buying is somebody is selling. You're actually helping them. And you could get a profit or you could get a loss, but that's not the point. The market will pay you, not other people. I want to help you a little bit more in understanding what signals are more important, what is more heavily weighted. When we invert the longs, what do we see? We see, first of all, a very, very slow signal. It could be classified as a pretty useless signal, actually. From a trading perspective, we want something that's really spiky, that throws off a signal very, very quickly. We can see these two signals are fighting against each other, so therefore we must weight which one seems more probable. The inverse of the shorts seems much, much more probable. It's been a much, much better predictor on price behavior. Inside the masterclass, we do deep dives on just about everything. Someone you know has kindly offered a CTKS partial masterclass scholarship. You can find the link in the description below. As a global family, we have a focus on getting the process right. We do that by applying positive excellence to our lives. Money will only reveal more of who you actually are. When you look at life, it's who you become that's ultimately important. Do you become happy? Do you become fulfilled? Do you find meaning? These are the real questions that people should be asking. We hear about so many stories of people who have everything but end their own lives. Having stuff, having money is simply not enough. A solitary focus on collecting things or collecting money leaves people empty and also depressed. Instead, by enveloping positive excellence and just layering this into your life, all of these green words are to-be list or a do-be list. It's important to be kind. It's important to have gratitude. Unfortunately, you won't accomplish anything worthwhile in life without persistence, commitment, and dedication. These are the rules of life. Giving others respect is very important. Forgiveness is also important, as are strength and boundaries. There were so many brilliant comments in yesterday's video, just exceptional. We talked about, is positive excellence taught at school? I haven't seen it, but I was hoping somebody else may have. One thing that we need to understand as a society, we're headed towards artificial intelligence. AI will replace so many people, it will render the schooling system almost worthless. What we instead need to move towards is embracing our humanity. Right now, the school system and the university system as well tends to turn out people who can go to work. It's about having more knowledge. AI has more knowledge than any of us. Sinman said, the education system I went through is built on rote learning. Absolutely. Rote learning is just a disgusting way to teach people. It's so lazy. People need to understand. The schooling system is fundamentally broken. Sinman goes on and says, it hardly allows you to think for yourself. It's all about, the school system is all about conformity. And it's conformity to the wrong ideals. AI will just obliterate jobs in the future. If you're doing rote learning, AI can do that. That's not what it needs to be about. It needs to be about bringing our humanity, our inventiveness to the forefront. We have to outcompete AI. By just revealing our uniqueness, every single human being is unique, has unique skills that AI could never ever match. Sinman said, it wasn't until the final years of college that I discovered critical thinking and how to study effectively, asking the why, how, what, when, and where questions, and how to piece them together. You can think that our community is a critically thinking community. They're not critical. We are not critical of each other. In fact, we're very forgiving and very kind. But critical thinking is very, very different. It's the way that you look and put the pieces of the puzzle together. Sinman said, the mind is a muscle. We must continue to exercise it with learning and creativity. It's going to become a matter of survival for our children. Soft skills, those such as positive excellence, will come to the forefront. A lot of people with a lot of knowledge get very, very arrogant. After all, they know and you don't. And they can be very arrogant about it. However, put them next to an AI and they may get crushed. That's why simply knowing is no longer enough. To succeed in the age of AI, we must be better than AI. How do we do that? By embracing our humanity. Grubbiz said, game-changing habits for me right now are meditation and visualization. Meditation calms the mind. It allows me to catch negative thoughts which would otherwise drag my mood down. Visualization boosts performance and allows me to connect back to my broader vision. Very beautiful words, and thank you for sharing. Edmund said, they're on their way to being a new parent very soon. I agree strongly that if you let the system provide the education to your children, then the system or matrix will raise them. Agent Smith. And not you. It requires consistent and constant good habits, dedications, positive excellence in order to override the matrix. If we think of the system, it's built on the concept that the majority of people go to work. They get jobs, they get a house, they get indebted, they retire, and they die. Ugh, sounds like a terrible life. What about we entered a world where we actually pursue what gives us passion, what gives us meaning in life? What fulfills us? Not simply paying the bills, but bringing out our special skills. At a very young age, I was confronted with death. Literally, I was given 6 months to live when I was very, very young. I therefore didn't believe I'd have the opportunity to get old, retire, and die. I thought I'd beat the crowd. That never became a part of who I was. It is possible to be inside the system, but to be your own person, and I think that's incredibly important. Edmund said, it's never easy, but that's the part about life that makes it worth living. I'm so utterly touched by what Edmund said. Keep up the great deed you are doing, Ken and Kate. It's admirable, and you are absolutely making generational differences. Thank you so much, Edmund. We're trying to make a difference. We're trying to help people to learn to be their own financial advisor. And you can see AI will probably put all financial advisors out of business. Thank you, everybody, for your fantastic comments. You can see that we're a family here, a family on YouTube. Who would have thought it? And wow, Art said, I'm going to be a grandpa. Congratulations, my friend. And very warm congratulations to your daughter as well. Art said, I think kids now are buried in social networking and not really learning how to solve problems. There has been a dramatic increase in teenage depression and suicide. It's very, very sad that people are becoming more connected and disconnected simultaneously. That human touch is really, really important. Art said a beautiful thing. It makes me happy that the thing my 4 kids want the most in their inheritance is in my library. It's the knowledge, the books. I'm a lifelong learner and I have usually 4 or 5 books I'm reading at the same time. Wow, multitasking Art. Yesterday we also talked about good habits and what best habits were. And Art said, concerning habits, I think one of my best habits is actually reflecting on my day in the evening to see what I could have done better and what worked out well. And more importantly, thinking about tomorrow's tasks. How the day will go, what kind of attitude I'll have, what are the potential setbacks, how will I handle them, what will be my victories, how will I make somebody's day better? Oh, that's very nice, Art. Where can I challenge myself to do better? And this also includes my trading. Challenging yourself to do better is the hallmark of every successful person and every happy person on the planet. Learning is the key. Trading is an everyday challenge, and one of the good things about trading, it keeps your mind really, really sharp. If your mind is sharp, degenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's have a lot of trouble grabbing a hold. An active mind creates more health. Jen said, education definitely needs to evolve. There are a lot of good teachers out there, and being a teacher myself, I understand what's involved in the education system. Unfortunately, as Jen says, there's a lot of people who just turn up and do their job and they don't have that intention to improve the lives of their students. That should be the major intention that every teacher has. It's not in sharing knowledge, it's in shaping lives. And it's also about having fun along the path. You can just see what a beautiful global family we have, and it's wonderful that you're here sharing this time together. Inside our global family, we care about each other. Terminal Orbit shared a quote from Mark Twain, I never allowed my schooling to get in the way of my education. Oh, sorry for laughing. I think that's a fantastic quote. Thank you, Terminal Orbit. Tales from the Man Cave said, when looking at kids around him, it doesn't seem like they're being taught anything other than retaining knowledge until the next exam. Erase and refill with the next section of the curriculum. My friend, you're absolutely correct. Understanding and problem solving is likely not on the menu for most, and this is a massive problem because it's those skills that will save us from AI. AI can follow instructions, it can digest the world's knowledge in just months or even less than that. But the concept is we must be able to create. We have to turn into an inventor's society, not an innovator's society, not incremental improvement. We need to invent. Inventive skills can be taught. They can be learned. It's actually a way of looking at the world. You see a problem and you just want to plug that hole up. You want to fix it. And if there's nothing there, you create it. I totally agree with what Tails said. A lot of people can only follow simple instructions. This kind of thinking will not lead to job security in the age of AI. We must be better, stronger, smarter, more inventive than AI will ever be. Dinesh said it incredibly well. The modern education system feels like a bit like a sausage machine, producing the same outputs with very little variation. That's absolutely brilliant, Dinesh, and it's true. CJ said something very, very good. He said about the school system, that's just like most industries. They've lost their basics. They haven't kept up with the pace of technology. Over and over again, our incredible global family is coming up with the same kind of statements, teaching your children critical thinking, developing coping mechanisms, how to fail. Because you don't really fail, you only learn. If you knew what to do, you wouldn't have failed anyway. So just think about it like that. Everything is a learning experience. That's a good rule to adopt. Brush yourself off and persevere. Never give up. Teaching real wealth and positive excellence, that's a very fast way to kickstart a very, very beautiful journey towards meaning, fulfillment, and happiness. And J-Link, what a legend. One of my best habits is to watch this channel's update every single day and leave a comment each time. You're magnificent, J-Link. Just as an idea, if you haven't commented before, maybe just reach out and in the comments put 2 letters in, a H and an I. It's a hi. Why not? Be a devil. Give it a go and see what happens. Have a fantastic weekend ahead. And Kate and I will look forward to catching you again tomorrow. Bye for now.